Hi, everybody, and welcome to the DIY show. This is episode 24, and we've got a little bit of news here today. You want to fill everybody in, and where in the world has Anthony Zotti been?
Well, I'm hearing conflicting reports on that. One source says that he was doing an install and overheard some political intrigue that he shouldn't have. And now he's in the witness relocation program, and it likes to be called PAM. So I'm not sure what happened there. He may also have been abducted by aliens, but we're not sure of that either. We do hope that he'll eventually find his way back to us, though. What have you heard?
Well, I've heard something close to that same vein. It's except for he had to go out to the White House to do a AV install, and nobody has seen him since. Something about his political views were not in line with what he should have been, and he started playing around with things. I don't know. You know Tony, he tries to get into trouble all the time. I hope he does come back soon. We do miss him.
Well, good. We've got some connections with the White House. In fact, we have some here tonight, so maybe we can fix this.
Absolutely. We do miss you, Tony. We will wish you come back when you have a chance. So, we have tonight some very special guests with a very special project. And Bennett, you know more about these guys than I do. Take it away.
So tonight I'm wearing my Make Your Heart Out T-shirt, which is very fitting. It's from a maker conference that's actually held here in Saxapahaw, North Carolina, down the road from me in Alamance County, little old Alamance County. It's about health and human well-being in the whole maker world. And it's also about Make Your Heart Out, which, you know, by the time you finish listening to tonight's podcast, you probably are going to need to grab a tissue because this has some emotional content. I met Susan Gwynn at the White House Maker Fair. I was lucky enough to be attendee for that event, and Susan was there. We met actually the day before. We were in a room full of a lot of amazing people kind of milling around. It was sort of like a nerds, you know, nightlife singles bar kind of a thing. So walk around the room, hi, who are you, what do you make? And so we met Susan, and she's with an amazing project called Ladybug House, which I love the name, and you wouldn't necessarily think of this as being a maker. Susan's a nurse, and a lot of times you don't think of healthcare professionals as being makers, but they are. The whole point is community and serving your fellow human being. So we're here with Susan from Ladybug House. We're also have Caitlin Foster from Ladybug House. She's the director of their community development. And we also have two folks from a new web app, a new website called Money Clouds, which is a crowdfunding and savings app. And I'm going to just go around the room and let the folks introduce themselves now. Let's start with Susan.
Hi, Ben. Hi. Thank you so much for having us. It's such an honor, and it's nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Suzanne Gwen, and I'm the founder of Ladybug House. I've been a registered nurse for over 30 years and recognized a need that was, you know, in the community, and just we founded it, and here we are now.
So what was that need? What kind of a nurse are you?
I'm a pediatric oncology nurse. I spent the last 33 years taking care of kids with life-limiting illnesses, primarily children with cancer, but all life-limiting illnesses. And so working in the hospital at the bedside, you know, we would get people from not only all around the world in the beginning, but from around the country. And even when they're just as far as 30 miles away, they can't be with their family. So seeing that families were just being torn apart by long-term illnesses and separation. So in our country, there are no children's hospices. And so we are in the process of trying to build the third hospice. There are two. There's one in San Leandro, California, and one in Phoenix, Arizona. And we're trying to build the first one in the Pacific Northwest here in Seattle.
Are they fairly common in other countries?
Yes, this all started, it's a topic that's really uncomfortable, makes people uncomfortable, so nobody really talks about it, and therefore nobody really knows that there's a need. And, when I would be at work at night and I would see these families, with one parent at Ronald McDonald House, which is lodging for the family while the children's in the hospital, and the other person staying in the hospital with their child, or the siblings never being able to spend the night. I started to do some research, and I found that over 30 years ago, the first children's hospice was built in the UK, in the United Kingdom. And since then, they've built 53 more. Canada has 8, and Australia is building their 5th. So when I did research in the United States, I found that there were only 2. And, in a country that is so advanced in medical technology and we have such great health care, it really is a need that's lacking.
Yeah, anybody that's ever been with a loved one in the hospital, even for something simple, you're there overnight to take out a gallbladder or something. Think of how disrupting that is to your life, just to get in and out, have a place to shower, have a place to stay. Now imagine having a family, having jobs you have to go to, having other kids you have to take care of, having pets. And then imagine having it not just be a gallbladder that's coming out, but a life-ending illness. You've been told this is your last year or week or month with your child. And how can you deal with that? It's kind of amazing that we don't just have one of these in every community built onto every hospital.
Ben, you're right. The other thing, that Ladybug House won't just be about hospice care and just about end-of-life care. Exactly what you described. Some of those families, get diagnosed and their treatments go on for years and years at a time. And it's not only, like I said, cancer, it's all life-limiting illnesses, And we've advanced in medicine and technology so much so that we now send families home to be the caregivers for their children. We send children home on ventilators and on IV pumps and with feeding bags and tube feeds, but never once do we say, well, still, you have to go to work and you have to take care of your other children, make sure the dog gets to the vet and your house gets clean, and all the rest of your family needs, but we never once say, we're going to give you a break. And Ladybug House will also be that place. We hope to build a 25,000 square foot home with 12 family suites, and each suite will support up to a family of 6. We hope to have a kennel in the back for the family pet, and a community kitchen where we can bring in, some of our great nonprofits, that already exist in the city, and maybe have meals prepared by one of those, but also allow the community to come on the weekend and share some of that. And it'll be a place where families can be cared for and not always caregivers, and a place for rest and rejuvenation,
It's an amazing project. So introduce the other folks from Ladybug House that are here with you.
Well, I have Carly Andrews here, and she is our #1 lady. She pretty much is our office manager and runs operations, and I can let her share a little bit more.
No, that's good. Yeah, just keeping up with the day-to-day tasks, and I came on as a volunteer for in 2014. I did that for a year, and now I'm kind of totally involved in all of the ways. So it's been really interesting learning from Suzanne. It's not something I was familiar with before meeting her, but as you can tell, it's hard to hear the story and not want to be a part of it. So yeah, I'm here to just kind of fill in and hear from all of you, and I guess I can help introduce Money Clouds. We were introduced to Money Clouds. They're local startup as well in Seattle, and they're helping facilitate a campaign that we're doing. And what really kind of grabbed us with them is, one of their team members has a personal story that relates absolutely perfectly with the mission of Ladybug House, and so that's been really cool to build that relationship, and I'll let Caitlin take it from there.
Caitlin, you've got your microphone muted.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
So, again, I'm Caitlin Foster. I'm the Community Development Director at Money Clouds, and we were introduced to to Ladybug House through a mutual colleague. And in my past history, I am a cancer survivor, and me and my family lived through many of these situations that Suzanne was just talking about, and have personally experienced just so many of the things that an organization or a home like Ladybug House would have provided an instant answer to. And it really is just very hard for me to believe that there are only 2 of these places that exist in the entire United States. And I mean, it's really just a no-brainer for our team to want to become a part of this. So I'm here with Jason Green, who is our Director of Product Development. And he can definitely speak to the tech side of Money Clouds a little bit better than I can.
Okay, Jason?
Yeah, so I'm Jason Green. I am heading up the product development for Money Clouds, and if we do get into some of the tech stuff, I'm here. We probably won't, but that's all right too.
Well, hopefully we'll get into a little bit of the tech stuff. We are a maker podcast. People want to find out how the money side might relate to their projects and their communities. So,
absolutely, yeah. And I'm privileged to be able to work with Ladybug House, and they have a very very good story, and we love to help nonprofits and communities alike.
Good. Well, this brings up an interesting point. So, are you telling me that Susan isn't an independent billionaire and just quit her day job to do this for fun, and that everybody working with her is just doing this for fun? What's the background there?
Let's see. So I guess it all started, really this vision came to me close to 20 years ago, as I was working as, we live in Seattle, and bone marrow transplant first started in Seattle. So people would come from all over the world here, residents, doctors, patients, and so you'd be walking down the hall, and every room you'd have a different patient, just someone from another country. And then, as more doctors came, more education, they took it to their own communities. So once the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance was formed, I went over to Children's Hospital, and they're still recognizing the need. But telling everyone we needed to build a house, and then about 2.5 years ago, realized that I guess I was somebody, and put pen to paper. But in the meantime, I left my night position at Children's Hospital, where I was at for over 18 years, and I work at another cancer clinic now during the day, and I've cut my hours down to just to cover my bills, and the rest of my time I probably donate at least 40 to 60 plus hours a week to Ladybug House. And so, but we're very fortunate though, because we have been able to receive enough funding to be able to pay Carly a salary, and she just keeps everything in order,
But I think to your question too is, we say that Ladybug House will be built by the community for the community, and so we're constantly working to involve as many different people and organizations and companies to contribute what they already do so well, and to give back to them too. So we love these types of partnerships, and we love learning from others, and Money Clouds is a great example of how we're able to hopefully give them some added kind of exposure to an audience that they wouldn't be going after typically, and then it's a mutually beneficial relationship, which we love. So yeah, because we wouldn't want Ladybug House to stand alone, when no one knows about it and no one appreciates the effort, and we want it to feel like Seattle and the country's really kind of held us up. And Suzanne's been in communication for a while with other organizations around the country who really support what we're doing and who are also trying to do a similar thing in their own community. So it's been really cool to see everyone come together that way.
And Ben, it really is. I mean, you're a perfect example of that. I mean, when I went to the Maker Faire, I got that invitation a week before, and I had absolutely, I walked in there dumbfounded. I walked into this big space that looked like a high school shop class. I thought I was going to a reception. And
Right,
that was the
that was
reception.
a tech shop in Arlington, Virginia, right?
It was, and I walked in there, and I'm like, so what is a maker? And people, you were one of them. It's like, you're a maker. You're the nurse maker. And, teaching me that a maker is someone who sees a problem and creates an innovative way to solve it, and you welcomed me into the maker world, not only you, but many others from around the country, and you supported us. I feel like I gained a friend that day, and here we are almost 2 years later, and the maker community is still supporting us. Hopefully one day, we will build that legacy maker space and have all those incredible things. But as Carly mentioned, people like Money Clouds came on, and they themselves are makers. They've created this incredible app that Jason maybe he can share more about, with you exactly how it works. It's just another way to show how communities that are unfamiliar can help us out.
So let's talk about that. What is Money Clouds, and how is it different from all of the other, Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all the other crowdfunding and crowdsourcing kind of apps that have sprung up over the last few years?
So we like to stay away from the word crowdfunding when we're describing Money Clouds, just because we like to see ourselves as a personal and social savings app. Money Clouds was built to help people save money. It's built around the concept of goal-based savings. So picture the way that your grandmother may have saved money. She took cash and she put it in envelopes and stuffed it under the mattress, right? So we've taken that kind of, she maybe had an envelope for her vacation and for her child's education fund and for the family's new refrigerator. And we've taken that kind of goal-based saving and we've made it digital. So we are called Money Clouds. So when you go into the app, you can create a cloud that is based on a savings goal. Say I want to go on a vacation. So I create a vacation Money Cloud, and then I can link that account to my checking account and begin saving money for that specific goal or for 5 specific goals, whatever it may be. But through our process, we've realized that we are also able to help nonprofit organizations like Ladybug House facilitate their fundraising in a way that is much cheaper than using traditional payment processing systems.
So how does that work if you're a nonprofit and you've got a project, you go to Money Cloud, how does that work?
I would ask you to go onto our website at www.moneyclouds.com and click the Contact Us button and send us an email. Tell us about your project and tell us why you need help, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. And we're also a startup, so we're trying to start small and local and work our way out into the community, but we're always looking for great causes to get involved with.
And so can the saving for yourself is one thing, whirling away a few dollars here and there for vacation, but how do folks support a project like Ladybug House?
So we have on our website you have your personal clouds, and then you have what we're calling social clouds. So you have clouds, maybe I want to ask for money for my wedding next month, but I don't want to ask people for cash donations. So instead of asking them to enclose cash in a card, I can point them to the link to my wedding or my honeymoon Money Cloud and ask them for donations that way. So you can go to our website. We have a sharing section where all of the publicly available clouds are shown, and you can click on any one of those clouds and give money as you would to any GoFundMe or Indiegogo or whatever that may be website.
And you say the fees are less than going through some of the other systems that are already out there.
Yes.
Okay.
So, sorry, would you like me to elaborate on those?
Please.
So if you are donating money from a previously funded Money Clouds account, so I have a cloud that is already created and already has $100 in it. It is 100% free for me to donate that money to Ladybug House. If I want to make a donation directly from my bank account without going through the process of opening up a Money Cloud, then I can also do that, but it costs me 99 cents.
Okay.
Flat 99-cent fee, whether I'm making a $10 contribution or whether I'm making a $1,000 contribution. So many of these fundraising websites charge 3% plus a 30-cent fee plus 3.9% on top of that, or 2.9% on top of that. So it comes out to 7% of your fundraising total is taken away from you.
Right. With something like Kickstarter, after you hit credit card processing fees too, it's more like 10% total. So
exactly.
Not that that's a horrible thing, because I kind of think these systems have sprung up because traditional ways of funding kind of fell apart in the recession.
Hmm.
People couldn't just go to the bank and get money for, especially smaller projects. It's amazing how $100,000 is not a lot of money, but if you don't have it, it might as well be $10 billion.
Mhm.
And I just can't imagine. I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to help amplify Ladybug House's story is, working full time, and now we're going to also build a property. We're going to hire doctors. We're going to deal with lawyers over liability insurance and business issues, and you're going to also be the janitor and the marketer and the. It's just an amazing task to take on, and so that's a great story to kind of share. Seems like your app would be really good for schools that are looking to raise small scale funds, like they want to buy a 3D printer for the classroom. They need $500. Every parent could chip in a couple of dollars, and suddenly they have a 3D printer, or they have another tool they need, and that would be a really good way to fund smaller scale projects, especially since you don't have all these scaling fees that go along with that.
That sounds like an exact use case that we as a team have discussed.
Well, good.
So yes, that is exactly the way that we hope it will be used in the communities.
Now, do you only deal with nonprofits for this kind of thing? Do you do for-profit startups and small businesses and people trying to launch things as well?
At the moment, we're only working with individuals and with nonprofits, so 501c3 designated organizations. But any individual can create a money cloud on their own behalf or on somebody else's behalf, asking to raise funds or for whatever savings goal they hope to achieve.
Mhm.
Cool.
And it would be a great example for, say, for, say, if you have someone in college, if your child's in college, you can set up a cloud, and then that grandparent can send money in there, aunts and uncles, birthday money and whatnot could just be sent to the cloud, or you can have like his food account and his spending account or his books account, and different people can do that,
Or you and a couple friends are all trying to pool in for a vacation that you want to take together. You can all just be dumping into that cloud as you're able to. That's how I kind of imagine that being really helpful. So.
Well, I could see roommates that live together in an apartment using it to help, just gather money to pay the phone bill and those kind of things. Wait a minute, I just showed my age. Does anyone have a phone bill anymore?
We do have several sets of roommates using it to collect rent and other utility bills. So you're right on the money there.
Good. Well, so Susan, specifically, how are you guys using Money Cloud for Ladybug House? You have something going on right now with that, don't you?
Yeah, I'll let Carly explain that.
Okay.
As Caitlin mentioned, we were introduced by a mutual friend, and so she's kind of been heading it, and the campaign is called 45K in 45 days with the goal of raising $45,000 by Valentine's Day. Off to a slower start than we imagined, but it's been really fun. We have some old video footage that we're working to get edited into smaller bits, and so we put one of the videos out, and we're gonna. I think she's coming up with a little bit of more momentum. It sounds like in the next couple of weeks. But so the way that works is we have Money Cloud has set up a page for us that's our cloud, and people can go click the link and just donate right to there and leave their comment, and you're able to see the progress that's been made. So, yeah.
Well, good. So everybody listening, you need to go out there and donate a couple. Think of what all of our audience could do with just $1 bill donated to this to help families. This could be your own family one day, and then. This isn't just about Seattle. You may think, well, I live in North Carolina. How does Seattle help me? But really, the goal is to be an example that spurs construction of these everywhere, right? This is
exactly. That's exactly right. The goal has been that since there's such a need in the entire country, and you're right. It's like yesterday the people that got diagnosed, it wasn't their problem either. It's not your problem until it is, and then when it is, you would be looking or hoping for something like this. And so after The first one was built in North America, in British Columbia, 20 years ago. And then the first one in the United States was 10 years ago, and the second 5 years ago. So in just a couple of years that I've put pen to paper on this, the UK has built 4 more homes. We built 2 in the last 10 years. So as we move forward, when I visited the other houses, I was like, where's the template? How do you do this? Where's the book? So that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to create something that will not just be for our community, but here in Seattle, we're really fortunate. We have very large organizations and businesses, but we're also working on a collaborative co-op type business model that says if we use our existing universities and our nonprofits and our businesses, if we all work together and collaborate, sustainability is so much easier. So, somewhere in North Dakota, they might have, John Deere or Caterpillar or the local, grocery store who's doing well. They might come together. They might not be building a 25,000 square foot house. They might build a 4-bedroom house, or they might have maybe a community drop-in center. They might create something different, but the goal is to inspire people to come together and work and support their community. That we are a death-phobic society, as it is, and so we don't talk about death and dying in our culture, and we especially don't want to talk about children dying. People would rather, there are close to over 4,000 adult hospices, and we found over 400 for pets. I found 26 right here in Seattle the other day, 26. And then when I Googled children's hospices, none. So there's something about our country, and I have a 16-year-old cat. I love my cat, but I think that I would hope that my children or grandchildren could be cared for and loved in the same way, and offering the same support to, my children for their children as we do for our pets. And so really creating that temple. And when we say community, it's not just our community here in Seattle, but it's our community in the country. The turn of the century, when your father, say your grandfather was dying, the family came together. They sat around the bedside. The neighbors brought meals. The family built the coffin. They dug the grave. They buried them. Then there was a wreath was hung on the door, and your widower, people wore black, or there was that mourning process. We've taken all of the visual, things from death and dying, the reality of it, because we have all these video games where people die and pop back up right away, and that's not so. We need to realize that no one gets out alive. Everyone that's born, there's no turning around. It's happening to all of us. But what we can do is we want to give people quality of life and time to be a family and to make memories, to create those moments that are magical. We want to give them a break. We want to let them know that they're not alone.
We get a lot of times people's reaction to, this cause is that that's depressing, and how can you think about that and talk about that every day? But my response is always, that might be depressing, but what's more depressing is the fact that it's a reality for so many people and they're not being cared for. And it's not a priority of our country, let alone our city, to responsibly care for these families in these situations. And it's just one of those things, ignorance is bliss type of things. And like she said before, until it's your entire world, you might not be compelled to change it. But, that's what compassion's all about. So being in another area, as soon as we get this going in Seattle, I think it'll be pretty easy to, like she was saying, contribute our resources and what we've learned from it, and we'll be so eager to share. We're not trying to build multiple Ladybug houses. We're trying to build, the inspiration for it throughout the country.
Maybe, Caitlin, maybe this is a good opportunity for you to share maybe a little more personally what it was like when you were growing up, what some of the things your family went through.
Yeah, definitely. I was 11, actually exactly 2 months from my 12th birthday when I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And I went through several years of surgeries and treatments and just the things that come along with the cancer diagnosis. But because I was a child, the impact of that diagnosis was equally spread among me and my family members. So, as an 11-year-old, my parents were the ones who were driving me back and forth from my home to our local children's hospital every single day, and sometimes multiple times a day, or in the middle of the night when I would wake up in excruciating pain from the treatments or the surgeries or whatever it was. And it was a very tough time for us, but I feel so lucky to have been born and raised in Seattle, which is known as a pillar of their medical advances. And if we had not been living in a community with the Children's Hospital about 30 minutes away, we would have had to possibly split up with my mother and I, or my father and I, at the hospital, and the other parent and my younger brother back at home while he was continuing to try to be in school, and they were living their day-to-day lives. A pediatric cancer diagnosis it's very tough for the entire family, and the effects of a pediatric cancer diagnosis are often not seen by the community at large unless you have a very personal connection with someone who has been diagnosed. And I made very many connections during that time, other children who were sick, and some of them passed away, and some of them passed away in the hospital, away from their homes, away from their memories and the things that made them the most comfortable. And that was really hard that was very hard for me to see, but has instilled a sense of empathy and compassion that just makes me want to build up organizations like Ladybug House and others that are trying to build this need in our communities. And it's a very personal cause for me, because it is something that I have lived through and that personal connections have suffered from, and I can't sing their praises enough. And I really just hope this is a cause that is spread widely throughout the nation and paid attention to.
Well, hopefully we can give you a little bit more of an audience here. I hope we can. Anybody that's ever been in the hospital knows the following statement is true: a hospital is no place for a sick person. And one thing that I like that Susan said when I first met her was, it's about quality of life. Now, what is the motto of Ladybug House?
If we can't add days to the life of a child, we will add life to their days.
Now, one of the things that came out of the conversations at that the meeting at the tech shop there, and also the White House Maker Fair, was the idea of a legacy makerspace.
Mm-hmm.
So speak a little bit to that idea and the quality of life that can provide.
Well, it was really inspiring. I think we were in the Eleanor Roosevelt room, and it was one of the people from MIT, and we talked about just how creating memories and whatnot, and making handprints and Christmas balls, and then it was again like the true maker world. Everybody started throwing ideas in there. It's like, well, you could make 3D printer hands, and well, you could take those last poems and use a laser cutter to cut it out on glass or wood, or all of your brains started thinking. And then there the idea is saying, from having a regular arts and crafts room to having the first legacy maker space, where not only a place where the children and their siblings and families could come in, but also a place where in the community where people could also use it and share it, and that saying that someone had mentioned that someone had, I don't know who the person in the relation was, but they needed a tool on their wheelchair. And it was by coming into a makerspace that was developed in there. So you never know from a family member just needing, some little gadget. And you have somebody there that can actually show them how to create that. And, what would happen. Like much what you do with the limb replacement and whatnot with the 3D printers. It's all pretty phenomenal.
And then for, taking our mission statement and putting it into a practical way into Ladybug House is, we're not, when we are providing end-of-life care, it's not a place for just, to wait around until that end comes. We want to give families an opportunity to actually celebrate every day, and to, if we have a legacy space, they get to go in there with their family and friends, create that, last video, or a series of videos, create a TV show, make, giving them tools to be able to actually accomplish their own goals. Their kids, they have dreams and goals too. How can they create and contribute to society while they still can? And so that's what I think is exciting about that idea.
And one thing that's so important to think about too is, like, with adults, we tend to think we know things, but it's just like, you're living in this world, and when someone gives you a life-limiting, diagnosis, or tells you you're actually terminal, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, so often I see it all the time because I work with adults now, it's like they shut down. They think about what they're not going to have. They get very depressed, and they are just thinking about what they're losing. With kids, the one reason families need so much support is because the kids don't think that way. They're not really thinking. They don't really get the whole concept of, the whole definite thing. So they're out there, you'll have kids who are still running down the hall riding their bikes, with their mother running after them with the IV pole, or they're creating, it's the kids that are creating their bucket lists, and they want to graduate high school, they want to go to prom, they want to, have Christmas. So let's put that Christmas tree up in December, let's have a holiday every single day of the month. Like, let's leave that tree up perpetually and just decorate it with whatever for whomever needs it, so it really isn't about supporting end of life, it's supporting life.
Well, and I think it's very important too, you at the end of the day, when all is said and done, then you have something that you've made with your child, with your family, that you can hang on to, that you can pass down to your other children, that acts as a monument of your time together. How many parents keep things that their kids do in school? How many kids hang on to items that their parents made when their parents pass away? And just to feel like you're going to be locked in a hospital room with a beeping machine and somebody to wake you up when you finally go to sleep to come check your vitals, and a TV that doesn't have the stations you want, and that's your life until you do pass away. That's just such a bleak thing that seems like we could do better as a society.
Right. No, it's definitely true. It's finding those places where kids can just be together. I had a little girl. She was from Portland, which is, a couple hours away, maybe 3 hours away from Seattle. And when she was diagnosed, she was 10. She had a brother and a sister and her mom and dad. And her dad stayed here in the hospital with her in Seattle. Mom was a primary breadwinner. Dad kind of worked from his computer from her hospital room. And on the weekends, Mom would bring the brother and sister up. They would stay at Ronald McDonald House. Mom would stay with, Hannah. Dad would stay with the other. And this went on. Out of 2 years, they were only out of the hospital for 72 days. I remember Hannah asked for a magic bullet for Christmas because she loved, but she was in isolation all the time, so she never got to go to that kitchen in the hospital, so she never got to use that magic bullet. And she died. She died at 12. So her siblings were losing their childhood, their friends, they were disassociated. They literally, not just even being in the hospital, but because she was in isolation, they all had to stay in that room all the time. And you think, like, having a place, and it's not that she wouldn't have died. We couldn't cure her and stop her from dying. But those last days, they could have all spent the night together. They could have all slept there. They could have gone outside on that patio or had barbecues, or their other family members could have come and hung out at the house too, Mom could have used the kitchen to make her favorite cookies for her children. They could have created memories there. And that's what it's really all about.
So, wow. So who out there isn't getting your dollar to put into Money Clouds to help this? I want to know. How could you hear this and not want to help this project and not want to do this in your own town, whether you have children, whether you ever need this for your lives, help somebody else. And to me, that's the core of what the Maker Movement is. So how far along are you with your plans for Ladybug House? What do you need to go from here to making it actually open and running?
Well, Suzanne, became a 501c3 in August of 2014. So since then, she's been working to build our team, and we've got a pretty solid set of volunteers up to this point. We are looking to start a capital campaign fairly soon, and the goal will be to raise $20 million. That's our estimate at this point to build and to operate for a year. And so that's just based on the cost of similar type of homes and things like that. So yeah, we're going to start throughout the year reaching out to the major donors and trying to secure some of the bigger partnerships, and then we'll go into grants and things like that. But right now we're just trying to kind of finalize the business plan and strategy, and our goal is to open in 2019. But we're working right now to make that plan more concrete. But spreading awareness and fundraising are our biggest kind of goals, so we can get off the ground even further.
Well, and I think this is an important story too, because you look at all the institutions around us, a hospital, a doctor's office, and you think about somebody that's gone to school, gotten their degree, they become a doctor, they get some money together, they start a doctor's office. Seems fairly easy. How many people are working their day-to-day jobs? Think about, you have to now raise $20 million, and everything that goes along with that. All of the, I got to take this call, I can't say no, it's 2 in the morning, but this guy's calling and I got to talk to him. Oh, now we got to deal with, okay, what color are the drapes? We found out that the crown molding for this room isn't available anymore, so we got to change it to that. All the millions of details just to get a building up and running with people in it to do something good. Everybody listening, imagine if that was you trying to start a new endeavor like this. And wow, it takes a community. So if anybody out there is a maker, I wrote an article about this after the White House Maker Faire, and I sort of challenged the maker community there. I said, hey, put in the comments, what are your ideas for the legacy makerspace? What tools do they need? Can you contribute something? Does someone have a 3D printer they can give this Ladybug House? Does somebody have a screwdriver they can spare and give to these people? And so we're all clever people. All our audience is amazingly clever. I want to say that to start with. So put your minds together. What can you do? It doesn't have to be $1. It can be help. It can be advice. It can be spreading the word. Just share the website. Share the social media. Share the story with people. What do you guys think is your biggest obstacle?
Awareness. Yeah, right now it's getting some feedback. Right now it really is in our country also, to make things even a little more interesting, there isn't a pediatric hospice policy specifically. So we're also, when it comes to licensing, that is also another challenge. So we're really working with our local government, and we're trying to say, like, when the hospice policy was created in the 60s, it didn't include children, because children really, again, no one thought about kids dying, and when they were sick, they usually died relatively quickly. They weren't living as long as they were with such life-threatening illnesses. And then in 2010, when the Affordable Care Act came out and concurrent care came in, because right now, if you have a diagnosis and you're going into hospice care, you as an adult the doctor has to say that you have 6 months or less to live for you to get a hospice benefit. Well, in 2010, the Concurrent Care Act said children could have hospice and seek curative care together, but they didn't take out that line that they could, have more than 6 months to live. So it's made it really difficult. So even for the couple houses that have been open, as far as getting reimbursement and funding, that's made it challenging. So on top of building a house, we're really trying to create a precedence for the way the country treats end-of-life support for children. And just awareness that there is a need for that.
It's a very complex thing you've started. So how did you do you sometimes think, wow, what have I done here? Look at what I've gotten myself into.
I said that to Carly about 3 hours ago when we had, because like these were my 2 days off. We were here from like 8 in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden it's like, as we're trying to respond to emails, or we've just moved into an office space. Hainline Construction has offered us 409 square feet in their beautiful office, which is downtown Seattle on 4th and University, and it's an amazing space. So we actually can be together. Today we had 4 or 5 different people come through and have meetings with us, and as we're writing, you were starting to get more and more people aware and more people asking questions, and some days it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's a huge a huge endeavor that's pointed at us all the time, but I think, Suzanne's answer is obviously the memories that she has of all these families going through this and all the stories she's heard and seen and been a part of that will, literally never end the drive to make this happen. And then that, has been contagious to everyone around her. So, the more stories I hear and the more stories we get to share, and people come to us all the time saying, oh my goodness, if we just have Ladybug House, how can I help? That type of thing. That is, easily fuels the momentum. And then we have people calling saying, I need you now. How can I get into Ladybug House? And we have to say, sorry, we don't exist yet. So it's not, once you know the importance of something and how much it would mean to someone to be available, it's hard to walk away from, and it's hard to quit just because it's too big of a project or too hard or too difficult. If it was easy, it would be done. We've also, so.
And if not now, when? And if not us, who? And it's showing, one of the reasons, you are a perfect example, being on your show right now is not the norm that someone would think a topic like this we brought up, or having Money Clouds come in and helping support us. We had an email from a young junior in state here who said she wanted to raise funds for us at her school, and she's doing a dessert walk and an auction, and asked if we would be able to come out to her high school, in Wenatchee. And so, there are things out there. So letting your community know also that maybe they can't, one person might not be able to give a lot of money, but they can do different things to raise money as a community.
So if you're going to Wenatchee, and
yes,
it's odd that I even know that place exists on Earth since I'm on the other side of the country, right? I met some amazing people from that small town at another White House event earlier last year at two high school students that started their first Maker Faire there in their town. Their city council brought them to this event at the White House so they could share and see what was going on. And so you guys need to be at their Maker Faire exhibiting and telling the story of Ladybug House, and I will do what I can to connect you after this is all over with.
No, that would be amazing. Like I said, the thing is finding people in the community. We're at ladybughouse.org, or you can go to Money Clouds and be able to, donate money.
Moneyclouds.com/ladybughouse. I will add that in.
There you go.
Plug that in.
See, there you go. And, and so it's like getting the community to come together. And like I said, you have, whether it's donating, putting together on, you decide to do an exercise class or a bake sale, or you're going to sell lemonade, or you're able to do some great creative thing and sell it, or you just want to send us an idea, or you have a story to share. We would love to share your story on our website, or we would love to share your personal story in our newsletter. Those are things that will help inspire us. Maybe someone can help us create a way to put these little videos on our website or on our Facebook page, Maker World out there. We would love to be able to share, audio or video, and have people put that out there, because their stories need to be told. People, if you've known anyone in the hospital, so often everyone thinks, oh, the community comes together, but they don't. People are like, I don't like the hospital, I'll visit them when they get out. But if you don't get out for 9 months, people kind of go on with their lives and forget about you. So it's very isolating and lonely in there. And so this place in the community would help decrease some of that loneliness.
Definitely. So the one thing that you hate most about this, I bet, is the constant begging for money.
Oh my God. Everyone thinks that it comes easy. I am a good beggar. I love, I'm not, well, I don't follow Catholic religion, but the Sisters of Providence also started. They came from Montreal, Canadians, much like myself, and came from Montreal and had the begging tours, and they got on their mules and they went to the miners and they begged for money. So if that's what it takes, that's what I'll do. So yes.
Well, I just want to back up one notch and remind folks that Susan's also still working as a nurse while she's doing all of this. So she's still taking care of people on a day-to-day basis while she's building this. So what an amazing thing. How many of you out there listening have that inner strength to deal with your daily life, to deal with helping other people, and to build a whole new idea with a legacy makerspace and bringing families together and given the nature of the subject matter, it's taken all of my resolve not to break down during this interview. And after the fact, I'm going to go have a cry because I can't tell you how important this is.
I appreciate you so much saying that. You know, and like I said, it's having people in the community like you. It's having people, you know, the team at Money Clouds. It's having people like Carly and all of those who support us, our volunteers, the people who make donations, no matter big or small. Just going to our website or go to our Facebook page and share, make a comment. We want to hear your stories. We need to hear your stories. This is what will help. Let us be your voice.
Do you find many parents that have lost children that know about this and now want to help? They, like in the name of their child, they want to put their energy into helping you out. Is that a community you've connected to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're slowly, and it's growing and growing more and more. You know, there's this other thing too, because there's a cure world. You know, that world where we're going to fight it, we're going to beat it, we're going to win. And so often the care world, like us, people sometimes see it as the giving up, the losing the battle. We're not ready to go there yet. And we're not saying it's anything like that. We're saying you're tired, and we can offer you rest.
Even when you are still striving or fighting for that cure, we welcome you. Palliative care is, you know, improving quality of life, and so we want to bring that quality back to your life in the midst of all the struggle. And yeah, we're definitely trying to build the, you know, community of parents and families, and we have a solid group of people who speak on our behalf all the time for the need for this. But that's why, you know, anyone with a similar story, we love to be able to share that and represent that. And I think a lot of it too is that because nothing like it is an option other than Ronald McDonald House, but still there's a separation there between patient and family, because there's not, that concept is not a concept yet. It's even hard for some of the families to understand wanting to utilize it. So it's been an interesting conversation, because most families in the moment now that are exhausted and don't want to, you know, and might have to take their kid right back to the ER out of their exhaustion, they want Ladybug House. So that's kind of definitely the general consensus. But it's been really interesting to hear, you know, the viewpoints of the families. So.
Well, and people can let pride get in their way too. They don't want to accept help from other people, especially people they don't know. Yeah. And they probably already feel like, wow, you know, look at how my life has changed because of this illness. So just getting over that and don't let pride mess with you. Move forward and do something good.
Yeah.
You know, well,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we're coming to the end of our hour here, and I wanted to throw back to Caitlin for a minute. Let her give us some parting words about Money Clouds and about this project, and any links she would like to share with us about what they're doing and how people can get involved with Money Clouds.
Definitely. So, I mean, one, I would love for this message to continue to be about Ladybug House, because this, I just will reiterate, this is about building memories and celebrating every day. And I'm very thankful that I am still able to celebrate every day, and I want to celebrate in memory of those that are not able to celebrate. If you are interested in Money Clouds, our website is www.moneyclouds.com. We are available for creating your own savings goals, your own potential fundraising goals, and to help amazing causes just like Ladybug House. So please go visit, and like Suzanne said, share on social media, share to your email contacts, to your friends or family. Just please help us spread the word about these things. That is the biggest need.
And check out Money Clouds. It sounds like a great option for nonprofits, for maker communities and maker spaces that are nonprofits, for schools.
Exactly.
And even those of you that still have a phone bill to pay, communally, that would be good for them as well.
Yes.
All right. Well, Susan and Carly, let's have your take. Where can folks follow you? Social media, online? How can folks get involved? What are your last thoughts?
You can certainly find us on Facebook, which is kind of where we have all the current and updates. That's just Ladybug House on there. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and then our website is ladybughouse.org. We would love to hear from you, like I said, comment on Facebook, share our stories, share our videos, tell us your story, and yeah, we love, ideas and input from everyone, and, just like we said before, you don't need to have a dollar to contribute, but your ideas and thoughts and skills and connections can help us just as much, if not more.
And in the true feeling of the maker community, this is definitely a DIT project. Let's do this together.
Well, and one last question that we probably should have had as our very first question. So what's the origin of the name Ladybug House?
Oh my goodness. The fast version?
Sure.
The fast version is I was working nights about 10 years ago on New Year's Eve, and I had two boys. One was from Guatemala, and the other one was a very wealthy boy from Bellevue here in Seattle. And they had become really good friends over the course of their disease. Francisco, he himself had walked and was 16 and had worked in the kitchens in Pioneer Square here, sending money home to his family. And Hunter, even though he was from a wealthy family, had donated his Make-A-Wish, was spending his soup money, his lunch money to feed the homeless kids here. Hunter was brought into the hospital 2 days before New Year's Eve. He had a brain tumor. I didn't know him at the time, but 2 days later he died, to make things quick. He passed away the night before New Year's Eve, and he was donating his eyes, the last thing, his corneas, the last thing that he could actually give away, because both his mom and his sister had corneal transplants. And so while they were taking care of his eyes, Francisco was slowly becoming more paralyzed, so we were rushing him up to the operating room because his tumor was pressing on his spine. 4 in the morning, we're exhausted, my two friends and I, and we're bathing Hunter, and we're preparing him to, take his body off. And this thing is buzzing in this dark room. Imagine a dark room with, fresh snow outside, and the moon is beaming in, and we hear this sound, and we thought maybe it was a horsefly or something in the room. Crazy, and it was a ladybug. And she landed on Hunter, and she stayed with him all the way down the hall. And then we went into Francisco's room, and as we're cleaning up this, room that was just torn apart from chaos, trying to get this kid up to the operating room before his spine severs, we flip over a magazine, and across the front page, it's the name Ladybug. And so, doing some research, it says that ladybugs are the guardians of the soul, and they help the soul cross over to the other side. So, basically, that's what Ladybug House is all about, guarding the souls.
Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Jason. I guess he fell off the call, but an amazing story. Everybody, please share this. If you have $1 to give, please give $1. If you can share your stories, please do. It doesn't take a whole lot to click a button and share a story on Facebook or Twitter. Get the word out, because that's what these folks need, and that's what all the families they're helping need. Yeah. So I'll throw back to Tim.
Oh, absolutely. I'm speechless. I myself, my daughter, at age 13, came down with leukemia. She's now 25 and out. She's been in remission for years, and doing very well. I do know that what you guys are trying to do would have, even for those of us that are lucky and only had to go deal with a child going through it for a short amount of time, it would have helped greatly. I am in awe of what you're trying to do, and I really, really hope that you're able to achieve all of your goals. Just what it can do for families is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you for doing this. It's like Ben, I'm gonna have to go and have some personal time later. It's a sad story, but it's also happy to see that this is happening.
Well, it's
that
not
someone out there is trying to make it exist.
I don't think it's sad as much as it is life-affirming. I think it's noble. And in today's world, how often do you hear a noble story?
Exactly. And thank you all for being guests of ours. Ben, did you have a little bit of tech news to end on?
Well, we have our next Burlington Mini Maker Fair coming up April 23rd, and so our call for makers is live. So if you're a maker somewhere in the region of North Carolina or anywhere on earth and would like to come exhibit with us, you can do that. BurlingtonMiniMakerFair.com/makers. And on a personal level, I'm excited. We are opening our first makerspace for the public here in Burlington. It's going to be called Steam Junction. And we found a great property, great developer, someone that was a developer that wanted to develop downtown, not just a landlord that wanted to take our rent check. And that's a very important thing to have. And so we are moving forward on those plans, and I hope in the future we can broadcast future DIY shows from the makerspace. So that would be pretty cool.
Oh, that would be great.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being part of the show. The DIY show is part of the AV Nation network. Go to avnation.tv to find more shows, and there are plenty of other podcasts to enjoy. Thank you, everyone. This has been the DIY show.